Average Pat's Movie Reviews.
Hi everyone, Average Pat here to sit to chat today about the movie The Gentleman. I apologize for delaying getting this out. Unfortunately, I had a really bad cold, wintertime colds. They don't go away real quick. It's not a 2-day thing. Wound up taking a week. Anyway, without further ado, here's my review of The Gentleman. The film is directed by Guy Ritchie, who's well known for doing The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Not a good movie. But he also did Snatch, which was a very enlightened way of looking at gangster type life. It's a very darker humor. I'm not sure the exact term of what they use, but it's along the lines of the same humor that's in the movie Red and Red 2, and semi-similar to the humor that's used in The Whole 9 Yards and Whole 10 Yards. Those ones were a little bit more lighthearted, but they did kind of glorify a gangster lifestyle. This movie, the main principal players, I'm just going to give you 4 off the top just because there's so many others that are incredible as supporting actors, but their roles aren't as prominent as the main 4. The main ones, obviously Hugh Grant, Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell, and Charlie Hunnam. Charlie Hunnam actually has more screen time than I believe anybody else in the movie, but he's not the main star. The main star would be Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey plays Mickey Pearson, who is an immigrant to England and is basically the marijuana king of England. He has immeasurable ways of producing, and nobody understands or knows how he does it or how he pulls it off. Yet his stuff is the best, and nobody can top it. Hugh Grant plays a reporter / private investigator / snoop. I'm not really sure exactly what his role is overall, but he appears to be working for a journalist. His name is Fletcher in this movie, and he starts digging up dirt and following people around. And the whole story is basically him recounting to Charlie Hunnam's character, Ray, what he feels is going on and how he feels everything's worked out. It's him piecing together what he thinks is right, what may be right, what isn't right, what he interprets as being correct or wrong, and takes a lot of good twists and turns. There's a lot of humor in this. It's a darker type humor. If you're not really into like a dark humor, you may not like some of the jokes in there. There's some scenes that are quite humorous that I found that other people in the theater looked at me kind of strange for because I was laughing at them. I have a dark sense of humor sometimes. Overall, the movie was very well paced. It kept going back and forth, kept you kind of guessing as to how the twists were going to come. It did eventually become a little bit predictable towards the end, but it was still an acceptable ending. It wasn't one that you were like, oh God, I saw that coming 2 hours ago. You don't see it coming. You don't see the twists until they actually happen. Some of the predictability, again, is a little bit of a drawback, but overall it's a decent movie. This is probably Guy Ritchie's best movie in quite some time. He's done a couple other ones that were smaller. The worst one that I saw recently was the King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword, which was unfortunately a horrible movie. Good soundtrack, good music, but bad movie. Charlie Hunnam was the main star in that as King Arthur himself, which is where they paired up and met up and doing a movie together. For the first time, this is how they decided to do a second one, from my understanding. Guy Ritchie also worked with Hugh Grant before on... I believe he was on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He was in that movie as well. Again, not a very good movie. It wasn't very well received. This one was well received, although it's not making as much money in the theaters as they expected so far. It has only been out for a week, so we give it a little bit more time, a little bit more less stress over it. It's not a Marvel movie. It's not a big superhero movie, but it is doing fairly decent, just not as much as everybody expected, I believe. At least the number of reviews I've seen so far this weekend, it only pulled in 10.7 for the weekend. Doesn't sound like much. I don't know how many theaters it was released in, though. The principal of photography and cinematography was done by Alan Stewart. He kept you guessing. The scenes were very well laid out. They conveyed exactly what you needed to. If there was any kind of action, it followed very well. There was no herky-jerky cut scenes back and forth. It was very well edited, but very well shot. The cinematography was incredible. The coloring was very well done, and the light was used very especially well in quite a few different scenes. Somebody walking out of the shadows, somebody walking into the shadows, somebody coming from the side. It was very well done and very well integral to the story. It did a very good job of capturing what it needed to. The music was done by Christopher Benstead. It's a decent score, it's a decent soundtrack. Nothing that jumps out at you, but it does convey the music and the times and the situations that you expect it to. It was very. It's not something you can flag against the movie, so it's not a bad thing. But it wasn't something you'd be like, "Oh my God, what an incredible soundtrack!" It was there. It did its purpose, but it was very tastefully done. Overall, this movie was, again, if you have a dark sense of humor, you'll like some of the humor in it. If you don't, you may only get some of the jokes or only appreciate some of them. But if you're willing to just listen to it and take it as it comes, I think the humor comes through no matter what your actual style of taste or humor appreciation is. Overall, I liked the movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 rating for me. Again, the character development was pretty well thought out. Hugh Grant did a very good job as the investigative person / reporter / whatever the heck his actual role was. Charlie Hunnam held the limelight very well despite not being the main man in this movie. His scenes were very commanding and very powerful. He didn't show any kind of weaknesses that was obvious or anything along those lines. He held himself very well, good head on his shoulders. His character was supposed to be the calm of the storm, and he did a very good job of portraying somebody who had their hand on the pulse of everything and was kind of the second in command to Mickey Pearson, McConaughey's character. As for McConaughey, he did exactly what he needed to. He did his role very well. He gave that aura of power, of respectability, despite being somebody who deals in illegal drugs in England. He still had that sense of awe about him. It was kind of, I saw somewhere somebody said it was like one of his Lincoln commercials with violence. You know, he's got that nice, I'm the one in charge, I'm at peace with myself, but I'm still the one who's going to kick your butt if you need to. So it's kind of a weird way of looking at it, but it's him in his essence doing what he needs to. The surprise joke role that wound up being a lot better than I thought it would be was Colin Farrell. He's in his name literally in the movie is called Coach. Take it as it is. He gives a very good performance as well. He's not there for comedic relief. He's not there for super, crutch for a struggling movie. He's there as a decent role that wasn't too difficult for him, but it was very well thought out for him. He embraced it pretty well. He did really, he came across when he needed to. He had the compassion when he needed to. He had the anger when he needed to, and he did what was expected. A very good role for him. Very simple role overall, but he commanded it very well and did what he needed to. Again, I give this easily a 4 out of 5. It's a good movie. I appreciated the humor. The music was decent. The cinematography I thought was brilliant. And overall, you can't go wrong with a Guy Ritchie gangster humor style movie. The jokes are there. The laughs are there. You meet the people that are introduced the right way. It's all very well thought out. Guy actually wrote most of this as well and helped do the screenplay as well. So this isn't just a director. This is his whole story, his movie, and he does a good job with it. So if you're into movies like Red and The Whole Nine Yards and Snatch, this is right up your alley. It's a good movie to watch, and it's a good break from the traditional blockbuster movies, the huge comic book movies or the cartoony type humor. This was a very well thought out, very well done movie. If you like this review, you like any of my reviews, please make sure to click like on Facebook. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page and leave a comment. I have no problem with responding to comments. And if you guys want to give me more ideas and suggestions of movies to go see or review, please let me know. Appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.